Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with our last Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, answering our community's questions, just like we do every single weekend. Hopefully, you've been joining us now for a while, but if you haven't, welcome to the show. This is where we answer about 6 questions on Saturdays and 6 on Sunday. Hopefully you're able to tune in the day the show comes out live. And we are tackling episode 2193 today. So today's show debuts on February 6th, and the questions are coming in from late December. So these are December 21st, 22nd, and it looks like all the way through December 26th. So if you ask your question before December 21st, it will have already been answered on a previous house call. And you can find all of those house calls at stevencabral.com/podcasts. All right, well, it's that time. Let's get into our questions. I always love being able to open up this document, and that's exactly what I've been doing over the last 30 seconds or so. So I've got the document opened, and again, as I said, today is episode 2193 if you'd like to follow along with the questions. And the first question today is from Tina. Tina writes in, what are your thoughts on surgical mesh for bladder control? And is there any healthy alternative? So curious what the root cause is for sudden urination. So, Tina, great question. Happy to answer this. We certainly have not been asked about surgical mesh for bladder control before on the house calls. But again, we run a very large practice. We see thousands and thousands of people every single year. And, one of the things you always want to ask is there an underlying root cause? Is there anything that we can do so that we don't have to, that we can forego surgery? That's basically it. And that's always my goal. So most, again, at least in my practice, a lot of the people they were thinking about using a surgical mesh for something like a prolapse bladder. And you have to ask, okay, well, why is there a prolapse bladder in the first place? And if you can't answer why, or the why is simply from, well, it's because of this, that, or the other thing, you say, okay, is there anything that I can do? I'm just kind of walking you through the process here. Is there anything that I can do in order to fix that naturally? So the very first thing we do with any type of prolapse, let's say bladder or other, that we would do some type of like occupational-based therapy, some type of, I don't know if occupational therapy is the actually right word for this. I actually literally used to work with a therapist that did a lot of this in my practice, in this truly integrated practice that I was part of. But it's like a physical therapist, but for a prolapse bladder. So that's what we're working for specifically. But at the same time, we're also looking at, okay, well, what about the inflammation of the body? What about overall core base strength? What about looking at bacterial infections? So we're looking at a lot of things, because sometimes there can be some prolapse, but that isn't the main reason. The main reason could be a sensitivity with the enteric nervous system, which is all the nerves going in and out of the gut. It can be some bacteria that's living in the bladder itself. It could be higher levels of cortisol, not allowing you to get into a deeper night's sleep. I think we answered that even just yesterday, when the sympathetic nervous system is on at night, and it shouldn't be when you're in more of that parasympathetic, that's a reason you may wake up to urinate as well. So there's a lot going on. It's an impossibility for me to answer this question. This is one of the things where you try to run the big 5, if possible. Look for all the underlying root cause issues and begin to rebalance those while doing, if possible, some type of therapy, which does work well. There's bridging, there's planking, there's a lot of things that you'd be doing. And then you say, okay, well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a real go for 6 months, you might say. Again, I'm not giving you medical advice, right? So no medical advice on the podcast, no treatment of any disease, as they say. And there's no cures, I guess, diagnosis and cures. So And you say, okay, I'm going to do it for 6 months and I'm going to give it a real go. I'm going to try to forego surgery. That's what I did. I tore my labrum in my shoulder. This is now going back, I guess 2 years ago. Wow. Has it been 2 years? Yeah, amazing. I guess it's been 2 years. Has it been 2 years? October 2020? About a year and a half. And so I said, listen, I'm just not going to have surgery on it unless I absolutely have to. And I was in a lot of pain. If you've ever torn the rotator cuff of the labrum, where the socket, the ball of your shoulder literally goes into this cup, a glenohumeral joint of your shoulder, and not as big of a cup like as your hip, but still enough for a cup. And if it hangs there, it's a lot of pain. We'll just put it that way. Even just kind of put it on my dress shirt in the morning. Anyway, I said, listen, I don't want to have surgery. There's no going back from surgery. Here's what I want to do. I want to try to do my best to rehab this. So I went to see great people. I did a lot of my rehab during all of my exercises, and it worked out, right? It's still torn, but I have no more pain because everything's in the right position that it should be. And hopefully that tearing can start to get better and better, that tear. And in the future, I may decide to do a little bit of stem cell therapy if I choose to in the future. I just haven't chose to do that. All right. Long answer to say, I believe you may be able to fix this. What I'd like you to do is go deeper on it. All right. Jenna's up next. I was dealing with decreased bile production or a blockage of the bile ducts. I'm not really sure. And I wasn't feeling well for about a week. It was obvious that my body was not digesting fats due to the low bile, as I had pale or yellow colored stool. During this time, I didn't feel great. My bloating, which I've been trying to solve for a mystery for the last 15 years, just magically disappeared. It was completely gone. I didn't change my diet at all. To me, this experience showed me that the root cause of my bloating is digestive process malfunction rather than SIBO, Candida, etc. Could it be that the act of breaking down fats in my system is what causes the bloating? And when I did not have bile to properly digest the fats, this meant that the bloating did not occur. The reason I ask is because I fixed the bile issue and the bloating is back. Oh, very interesting. Oh, well, I'll break this down for you, but I don't know what potentially caused the blockage. And I also don't know what you did then to fix the bile. Because if I knew what you did to fix the bile, to get it flowing again, I may be able to then help you on what's going on, like what is not good for your body. So since I don't know that, and that's a key question I would have to ask you, but again, these are not consultations. These are me giving you an alternative way to look at the matter, right? Or go deeper on it. So basically, when at least as far as you're concerned, when the bile is flowing, or at least you're properly digesting fats, there is an issue with bloating. Okay, got it? But when your stool is lighter in color, which definitely could mean that the bile is not flowing, that there is no bloating. Okay. Let's just break this down a little bit. So if stool is a medium brown color, kind of like the color of a cardboard box, that's typical normal bile production, normal stool color. If it's darker in color, I have a whole podcast on what your poop says about you. If you want to check it out, you're welcome to search it at stevencabral.com/podcast. So if it's darker, there could be blood, there could be issues up in the digestive tract. If it is more green, it means the bile was produced in excess or was not absorbed back in, so there's faster bowel transit time. And if there's lighter colored stools, there very well could be not enough bile produced. Okay, so it is possible that your bloating is caused by bowel transit time rather than by, like you just said, Candida overgrowth, SIBO, etc. So it is possible that by you speeding up bowel transit time or slowing it down, depending on what you're doing, you may have be causing you some bloating. It's still hard to believe that this would not be in conjunction with imbalanced bacteria, but it is possible because bile does help move the stool down the digestive tract. All right. So I can't give you an answer, and I apologize because usually I'm able to provide better advice than the first two questions I've done today, especially if you're a new listener to the show. But I will never give you advice that I don't feel confident about. Okay. So it is possible that faster bowel transit time for you is causing some type of bloating because of a speeding up of that peristaltic movement. It's possible. Again, I don't know, but I'm giving you at least something to think about, all right? All right, Amanda's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm a 29-year-old female who has been diagnosed with PCOS since the age of 18. Initially, doctors would always tell me the same thing: lose weight, get on birth control. I have the past 11 years, my body has always been in a constant battle with weight gain and loss. I have symptoms which include stubborn facial hair, belly fat, darker pigmentation under my arms, etc. In 2019, I went dairy and gluten-free, which has helped tremendously with my inflammation. However, on special occasions, I have some and pay for it as my menstrual cycle is delayed. I have very low sex drive, if nothing at all, and I want to change for myself and for my partner. I've already done a 21-day detox. I'm doing fatlossity currently. Just wanted some advice on how to help with this facial hair, darker skin, and low sex drive. I take quench and estrogen balance and haven't noticed a difference. Doctor has taken blood, and I do not have diabetes or hashimotos yet. Any advice is greatly appreciated, and thank you for all you do. Okay, so we work with women with PCOS all the time, so I'm happy that I'm able to provide a little better advice on this question. I always get upset when I can't give you my best, or I'm always giving you my best, but if I don't have that answer, again, because I'm not going back and researching, I'm literally seeing this question for the first time, I get upset at myself that I want to be able to do better for you. But what I can tell you is this: I've talked about PCOS a lot on my podcast before. So let's just go to stevencabral.com/podcast. Let's just make sure we can find you the episodes, because my goal here is to do all new topics, all the time. So PCOS, 2095, 2076, 2056. All I did was type it in at stevencabral.com/podcast. And let's see, 1910. Well, here's what I want to do. I want to give you an answer. We're going to make this part of our PCOS. Okay. So if a woman has PCOS, we are looking for essentially 5 things. What is causing the PCOS? Okay. Blood sugar dysregularity. Okay, number 1. So higher blood sugar, higher insulin definitely can cause PCOS. Okay, so we've got that. We've got lower levels of thyroid, meaning like just because your doctor says they're fine, it doesn't mean that they're good. We want functionally great thyroid. That's 0.5 to 2 for a TSH, right? And then we look at free T4, free T3. We'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, so good thyroid. We want non-elevated evening cortisol. Well, guess what? No doctor takes evening cortisol. They only take first morning cortisol, because that's when you have your blood work done. Okay, so we have that. We also want to make sure that you do not have low DHEA, but high testosterone. That's one more reason, right? One more reason for the facial hair, etc. And then we want to make sure you don't have estrogen dominance. Now, remember, it's not just about taking nutritional supplements. Part of that can be very, very helpful. So what we do is we look at which one of those or multiple of those do you have? There's only one lab that you really need to run. Ideally, you run the big 5. There's just no doubt about that. You go to stevencabral.com/labs. You choose the big 5. Okay. But if you can't do the big 5, then I would like you to do the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism test, because you're asking me to tell you what to do for PCOS, yet I don't know really which one of those 5 that you have or multiple of them. But we will know after you've run that lab, which also comes with a consultation, which then also comes with a full plan to be able to administer. So that's what we want to look at, because PCOS is absolutely fixable, like absolutely. And again, we're not providing any medical treatments, cures, or diagnosis, but here's what we are doing. We're looking at the underlying root cause imbalances that lead to PCOS in the first place. Like, that's the thing. And so what you do is over 12 to 16 weeks, you're going you're just diminishing those symptoms. And then what you're also doing is working on basically a natural removal of those cysts. That's the goal, right? So the goal is 12 to 16 weeks, feeling dramatically better, not being as sensitive to gluten and dairy. So we probably want to run a Candida metabolic and vitamins test as well. And then over the next few months, we're getting even better and better, because those cysts are hopefully shrinking. So Amanda, that's exactly what we do. All right. And I'll probably do a full show on PCOS as well in the future. So let me just put that in my notes. Okay. Karen is up next. Can't thank you enough for always being a go-to resource for accurate information. It's so appreciated. Thank you, Karen. I'm trying to increase my daily protein intake by combining bone broth and hydrolyzed whey powder into my morning smoothie. How would taking a proteolytic enzyme help me to better digest these proteins? Or is that the that they are being indigest. Let me see if I can read this again. Or is the fact that they are being ingested in a liquid form already make their proteins more available for absorption? I don't want to waste money on proteolytic enzymes if they aren't necessary. Any other recommendations for increasing protein absorption? Okay, yeah, great question. So let's just tackle the liquid first. Liquid's always going to be easier to digest and absorb. However, it just means there's less energy to actually break down the food. Now, you still need the HCl, meaning the stomach acid. Okay, so you need the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, and ideally, your body will produce some pepsin, but you need that to break down the actual amino acid chains that are, whether it doesn't matter if it's whey or if it's pea or rice or whatever it may be. You still need to break down those amino acid chains, which make up those proteins, okay? So that's very important. Proteolytic enzymes are great. I use proteolytic enzymes for protocols, cardiovascular protocols, blood pressure protocols, biofilm protocols, etc. So heavy metal protocols, because it's working in the biofilms. You just need a normal 1 to 2 to 3 capsules of daily digestive enzymes. They're less expensive. You just take them with protein-based meals. They already have protein digesting enzymes in there, but they'll also have things that help with a little bit of lactose that's in whey if you choose to have whey, okay? So I wouldn't consider bone broth a great source of protein. It's not a great source of protein at all. Obviously, whey protein or pea protein or anything like that is going to have whey, hemp protein, whatever protein you want to use, certainly. But here's the nice thing. To also improve protein absorption, train with weights. Work out with weights 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and that's going to help with protein absorption as well. You're just going to improve protein synthesis by actually working out with weight training too. Okay, and I could go on and on, but I've got lots of shows on protein, so definitely check those out at stevencabral.com/podcasts. All right. Michael's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I've tested positive for H. pylori and mold toxicity. I noticed a few months ago that I'm not forming stools normally. The stools are short and thin. What could cause this? What supplements could someone take to help with this? Okay, good question. So the stools, when they're very thin, pencil-like, and even short, what happens is think of your intestines as a tube. And the large intestine where the stool is basically being formed and held is a thicker tube than the small intestine. It's shorter, but thicker. It's about 5 feet to 6 feet long. And you're not emptying the entire, obviously, 5 or 6 feet of bowels when you have a bowel movement. Maybe the first foot or so, maybe a little bit more, which is called the descending colon. So the problem is that whole colon is probably impacted with stool. And what happens is when you're having a bowel movement, it's still considered constipation because you're just squeezing out the middle section of that part that's impacted all inside of a tube. So think about like a tube of toothpaste, right? A tube of toothpaste is filled with toothpaste, but just a small, like a thin amount is coming out, not like the whole big thick part of it, right? So what can be happening in this particular instance is one, constipation. It can be actually forced bowel movements, but not an actual normal bowel movement, which could be a lack of magnesium, an imbalance with gut bacteria, like the bacteria in your intestines. It could be an imbalance with yeast. Part of it can be H. pylori because H. pylori can throw off your acid production in your stomach, which then throws off your ability to produce bile, and bile helps to get the bowels moving and removes toxicity too. So here's the thing. I mean, you need to do a full protocol. I don't know your health history. I don't know you, but anybody with mold and H. pylori, I'm telling you right now, if you ran a bacteria and parasite stool test or you ran a Candida metabolic vitamins test, there's no doubt you'd most likely find Candida and bacteria as well. So in these cases, let's say you don't have parasites, we do the SIBO protocol, probably with citruscytyl drops. Then we do an intestinal cleanse during that. And we're using the mastic gum as well. And then after that, we're doing the SIBO finisher. And while you're doing the SIBO finisher, you can do the mold protocol as well. All of this is available at stevencabral.com/shop. My advice, though, is you work with a health coach on this, an integrative health practitioner, level 1 or level 2, or you run a lab like the bacteria and parasite stool test. And then you'll get a protocol already there recommended for you by an IHP, level 2, or someone on the EcoLife team. All right? So that's what I recommend. Just because you want to do it right. You want to do it once, do it right, rebalance, and get that gut healthy. Lena is our last question of the day. What are your thoughts on taking NP thyroid long term? I've listened to your podcast on balancing thyroid naturally for my low thyroid, but I've been using NP thyroid for years and it's been working, quotation marks. Don't know if it could be damaging my health though. Any advice would be appreciated. All right. Happy to help on this. I don't know if we've ever talked about NP thyroid specifically, but here's the thing. I'm not against, so usually NP thyroid is a compounded natural glandular thyroid that is putting thyroid into your body. Oftentimes it's an animal thyroid and it's desiccated. You're taking part of that and you're taking it in to boost thyroid. I personally don't have any issues with that product. I just go even a little bit more natural in my practice. I'm just going to kind of peel back the curtain for a moment. Let's say and again, I'm not giving medical advice, so please don't take this advice. So if a person comes in and they're on levothyroxine or some type of pharmaceutical and they want to come off, well, what we do is we say, hey, don't stop the medication. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use a thyroid glandular, kind of like NP thyroid, and we're going to use daily thyroid support. We're going to use 2 of the thyroid glandular a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at night, and we're going to do 2 of the daily thyroid support in the morning and 2 of the daily thyroid support at night. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that along with our other program of why does their thyroid off in the first place, right? So if there's gut issues, intestinal permeability, heavy metal, et cetera, we need to work on that. We can't just pretend like we're going to fix the thyroid without knowing what the underlying root cause is. So of course, we're figuring out the underlying root cause because we ran the big 5. Okay, so we did that. Great. So next step, what we're going to do is after we ran the big 5, we're going to do the protocol, and then we're going to do the thyroid glandular plus the daily thyroid support. Then we're going to be on that for 12 weeks. After 12 weeks, we're going to run one lab called the stress hormones immunometabolism lab. Then we're going to look at, okay, is your TSH now between 0.5 and 1.5? And is your T4 at a proper level and T3 at a proper level? If the answer is yes, we say, fantastic, it's working. Please go to your medical doctor, and it is your choice, but you may now want to begin to wean off of your medication. Your choice, not ours, because we're not here to provide any medical advice. So that is how we help people who have made the decision that they don't want to be on pharmaceuticals begin to wean down. Now, if you're only using NP thyroid and you're getting great results, great. I would still always look for, why is your thyroid not optimal in the first place? Too much fluoride, too much chlorine in the system from water, heavy metals like arsenic, mercury, or aluminum, or cadmium, too much bromines. That's another possibility. Viral-based issues, intestinal permeability having to do with parasites or bacterial overgrowth or Candida. These are all reasons. And so once you find your reason, then that's why we tell people, sure, we're going to use nutritional supplements in the beginning because you get one choice or the other. You can use pharmaceutical drugs and mask all your symptoms, or you can use herbal extracts, vitamins, and minerals in order to rebalance the body. Yeah, you're using great whole food, of course. That's a huge part of the plan, but you need to push your body back into balance. And I'm telling you right now, I've been doing this for 25 years of myself and about 20 years professionally. I wish it could be done with just whole food. It doesn't happen. Like, I'm just being honest with you. It's just not going to happen. You can use any company in the world. It doesn't matter to me. You don't have to use Equalife. But I'm telling you right now, it's the only way to push your body back into balance. Then after 12 to 16 weeks, sure, you're coming off your protocols. Like, you're beginning to wean down, because after we ran your stress hormone mood and metabolism, you said, great, now here's what you're going to do. You're going to stay on the natural based products. Then here's what you're going to do. You're on that for another 6 to 12 weeks. When you come off your medication completely, if you decide to with your medical doctor, then you're going to run your labs. If you're still doing well, you're doing well. Obviously, your thyroid's good now. Now you begin to wean off the nutritional supplements. It's the smartest, most state-of-the-art way to really begin to heal the body. So hopefully that was helpful. And if it was, please do feel free to share any of this information, of course, with anyone else you believe we could serve. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate your time. And I'll be back tomorrow on a Motivation and Mindset Monday. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning into the show. It means the world to me to see this community continue to grow, and I have you to thank for that. Well, keep making good on our promises. This is our second major game-changing debut in the same month in January to start off the new year. And that is with our longevity line. This is a true science-based, researched, longevity-based line that took over 12 months of research and formulation. It covers everything from our advanced renewal system, which is state-of-the-art mitochondrial boosters and natural inflammation balancers. Plus, we have our new daily hair support, which rivals any of the best hair DHT blockers and hair regrowth formulas on the market. Again, all based in science. We have our cardiovascular line, which helps with cardiovascular issues, blood pressure issues, and more in order to develop a nice, strong, healthy vascular and heart-based balance. We also have our new natural hormones-based line. This means if you have low testosterone, we can help you boost that naturally. Low progesterone, low estrogen, we can help you boost that naturally. Low DHEA, we can help you give that a boost as well. Amazing hormone-based line. We also then have our daily bone supports. We have our advanced CoQ10. We have our daily glucose supports. We have our daily vision and eye health product, which is sure to become one of our top ones out there, especially with how much we all view our computers and phones every single day. I can't go through it all right now, but again, there are so many amazing products that, again, are game changers. I've been using many of these in all sorts of different formulations, typically taking 3 or 4 different products to just get some of the nutrients in like a product like Cell Boost for the mitochondria for anti-aging for the last 3 years. I'm happy to debut these, and they are all 20% off for life right now over at Equalife. Head on over to StephenCabral.com/longevity to see the entire line. Let us know if there's any questions. There's also a video on every single page explaining what that product is. Take advantage of it. 20% off for life over at StephenCabral.com/longevity.